Number 1 and number 2 were both off this week. Florida and Texas kept their spots in the poll, so they remained at the top. Number 3 was Alabama, and the Crimson Tide had an easy game against Kentucky. And number 4, LSU, had its toughest game of the season and a huge win against Georgia, a thrilling 20-13 victory that sets up a huge showdown next week where number 1 Florida will go down to Baton Rouge to play number 4 LSU, a game with national title and SEC championship implications. And number 5, that was the one change in the poll this week. Virginia Tech jumps to number 5, edging out Boise State. The Broncos struggled a little bit against UC Davis, and that was enough to convince voters to give Virginia Tech a little bump up. So the top 5 this week looks like this. Number 1 is Florida. Number 2, Texas. Number 3, Alabama. Number 4, LSU. And number 5 this week, Virginia Tech. So Boise State slips 1 spot to number 6. USC held its ground at number 7 after a very impressive win against Cal. It looks like the Trojans may have gotten their problems figured out. Number 8 and number 9 was an interesting switch. Cincinnati Bearcats jumped ahead of Ohio State. Ohio State slipping down to number 9. Both teams won this weekend. The significance is that Ohio State is usually number 1 in Ohio. Very rarely is anybody ranked ahead of Ohio State among those other Ohio schools. Cincinnati, in particular, hasn't been ranked ahead of Ohio State since 1951. This is a big moment for the Bearcats, undefeated and the number 1 team in Ohio. Also, another small change in the poll. TCU jumps up 1 spot to number 10 into the top 10 for the first time this season because Oklahoma, which was in the top 10 last week, lost to Miami and slipped down again. So 6 through 10 looks like this. Boise State at number 6, close behind Virginia Tech, but slipping a notch. Southern California at 7. At 8, Cincinnati Bearcats. At 9, Ohio State Buckeyes. And at number 10, TCU. So the top part of the poll stayed about the same. Toward the bottom is where there was lots of change, led by Auburn, ranked for the first time this season. Number 17, Auburn, 5-0 under Gene Chizik, their new coach. The other new teams, and there were 3 of them this week, South Florida at 4-0 in the rankings for the first time this season at number 23. Missouri's in there at number 24, also undefeated. The one really big surprise on the field this week was last week's number 12 team, Houston, went to Utep, a team that struggled all season. Well, the Cougars got their doors blown off, 58-41 by the Miners, and the Cougars go from number 12 in the nation to out of the poll. At number 25, South Carolina, that gives the SEC 6 ranked teams. That ties them with the Big 12 for the most ranked teams. The one thing the SEC has over the Big 12 is the SEC, for the second week in a row, has 3 of the top 4 teams in the country, with Florida, Alabama, and LSU.